to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And the new.
Yeah.
So, this weekend we had Teofimo Lopez,
AKA the Takeover.
out of Brooklyn, New York.
Takeover.
Versus Josh Taylor out of Scotland.
AKA the Tartan Tornado.
Damn. Okay.
Woo.
So, back for the recap for this fight.
Man, what a fight.
What did you think about it?
What a fight. I mean, what a fight. What a performance. What an amazing win for Teofimo, the Takeover Lopez.
Great win. Beat the guy that beat the guys.
Yeah, beat the man. Beat the man at 140 pounds.
Yeah.
He is now a 2-division world champion.
Yep.
And I believe the right term to say he is a 2-division lineal champ. I believe that's what they call it. But man, at 25 to accomplish that, what a performance. What a fight.
Yes, and we had originally on our cap thought that Josh Taylor would take the win.
Mm-hmm.
But we were wrong on this one.
Yep.
I did think, of course, that Teo did always have a chance if he can adjust to his defensing and just do a little different things and take it back to the way that he was. And I mean, he did that. Man,
I think it kind of goes with some of the things. Their preparation was on point. Shout out to his father and coach. Leading up into this fight, he said he had to take a step back and let Teo get back to his old self. Gordo is what his old boxing self. And he definitely looked like the old Teo. And I would say in my opinion, this is his biggest win. And I enjoyed this performance better than the Lomachenko one. I thought this
was a really good one, especially kind of, I guess, even to add like the atmosphere that we were in watching the fight. It was it was crazy. I do got to say, though, that once we saw like the fight started or whatever, like Josh Taylor looked bigger compared to Teo. We were like, ooh, okay, how is this going to go? But the first few rounds, I'll say Josh Taylor kind of took. And then afterwards, I think Teofimo started like filling him out a little bit more and started boxing a little bit more than just kind of being reckless in the ring. Yeah,
and it kind of talk a little bit more off of that. I remember, I think it was either the first or the second round, and Teo told his dad, he goes, I love you. And then, his dad was like, oh, I love you too. And then he was like, man, just figure him out already. and I will say this, he definitely did figure out. In the first round, I felt like Josh Taylor clearly won that, but you can kind of see like Teo was definitely, kind of studying Josh and kind of getting used to the speed and what Josh Taylor did. And I will say this, as the fight going on, he definitely figured him out, and it was Josh Taylor who couldn't figure Teo out.
Yeah, and this was a clear win to me. It wasn't like, damn, did maybe Josh win? No, it was clear that Teo won this fight. And Josh Taylor did a few little dirt things that we had talked about in the fight. I think it was like the third or second round where like he pushed Teo or some Teo was like squatting outside the
he had fell into the ropes. Yeah, he was down
and it was like a clear break.
Yeah, right in front of the ref, and I think the ref said no punching, and he was still hitting him.
Straight up punched him.
Yeah, and there was some more tactics that he did, but we said, hey, Josh Taylor, no,
watch out and don't wait for the refs because but I mean, Teo, I feel like he definitely used a little bit more defense. And moving around the ring more, and he kept that he didn't keep it hot all the time, but he did keep his right hand up a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'll say this was, I say this was his biggest win and his best performance, but this also was his best boxing performance. I felt like he just put pretty much a boxing clinic on Josh Taylor, and you said he definitely won this fight. It wasn't close. I thought two of those scorecards were a little close. I think it was like they only gave it to him by a round. But I definitely had it wider, closer to that other one. I mean, you could definitely see, leading up into this fight when we did our prediction, one of the things we talked about was his counter punching, and his counter punching was on full effect. His was on full effect, whether it be, him countering with the check, with the left hook, or counting with the right hand to the body, or counting with the right hand up top. I feel like he did he landed pretty much any and every punch. I mean, even later in the fight, you saw that nasty uppercut coming through. And it was just amazing to see. I will say this, his dad said, my son is good. When I was getting him to jab, I wanted him to jab every 3 seconds, but I took away his gifts, and that's him being able to read his opponent. You can see that he was definitely doing that. He was patient, and but I will say this, he did fight Josh Taylor at times, and when he needed to, and he was keeping Josh Taylor off guard because he was sitting back and counterpunching, and then he would come forward in combination, and it really led to Josh Taylor being hesitant more and more as the fight went on, and Teo was just having more success, and he was just clearly separating himself, and I felt like you could even see the frustration on Josh Taylor's face, and once he kind of got his groove, we saw Teo kind of the showman come out later in the fight. He did a little, his little dance, whatever you want to call it. But then he started leading off with the lead right hand, and then in the beginning he really wasn't overcommitting, and then later in the fight, when he got Josh so hesitant, he started to land even harder shots more at will, whether it be lead right hands, lead jabs, lunging shots, and I was like, man, he just putting on a show.
Yeah, and I would say if either of them was a little hurt, I would say that Josh Taylor was the one that was hurt in some points. I don't know if he tripped on his feet or he got stumbled back or whatever. Then I would say that Teo got him with some good punches. Yeah, and
when it comes to Josh Taylor, he did better in the earlier rounds, and I will say this. Pretty much, he really had a lot of success landing that left hand. He was able to land some left hand counters. He was able to land some left hands to the body, and he was able to land those. And even Teo, he kind of got marked a little bit on that side, but he wasn't landing enough to actually win these rounds. And Teo was clearly outlanding him, was the more accurate fighter. And Josh really, leading into this fight, I talked about Josh Taylor having a good right hook, remember? Having a right hook, and I was saying Teo, and if you watch Teo in his last fight with the Sandor Martin, the southpaw, he was getting caught with that right hook all night. So he definitely, he did say that he watched tape, so he pretty much took that right hand away from Josh Taylor. And I talked about Jose Ramirez, his success was the left hook. And Teo was landing that left hook with power, especially early on.
Like maybe he'll start watching more tape now.
Yeah.
But
what amazing!
Yeah, it was really fun to watch the fight. And we got a new champ at that division.
Yeah. Proved everybody. I mean, he pretty much proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
So shout out to him and his father believing, and they was telling everybody. Yeah. They was telling everybody.
Sometimes people say it, they talk it, and when they come into the ring, they don't prove it. They did, so.
Yeah, you know what? And it's kind of funny. I feel like Teo performs the best when the lights is on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because, before this, the Sandor Martin, it wasn't the biggest and the sexiest fight. And, the one before that was Compa, it wasn't the biggest. And, but his biggest fights, against the pound for pound parties, 2 pound for pound fighters, I mean, he shows out.
He did.
To get a win over Lomachenko, who was in the pound for pound, and then Josh Taylor, and to make Josh Taylor kind of look like that, I mean, that was a great performance.
And you said that's one of his best wins, because I'm just sitting here thinking like, damn, Taylor beat these other guys that were like, the top in that division. And then you got Theo who just came in and just took it easy like that. Yeah,
Yeah, and those contracts.
Is he gonna retire?
Man, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's funny because I come from the basketball world, so he reminds me of those type of basketball players. When you're playing the worst team in the league and you're the top team, I'll have about 12 points here and there, but let it be the other top team or playoffs or something. He gonna come out and drop 30 on you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's what it kind of feel like. And it even takes me back to, I remember, what's that fighter's name? Barbosa. Barbosa was calling him out and he was saying, "No, I don't want to fight Barbosa. You know, I want the biggest. I want the big fights." I think even Teo knows that. They're like, "Man, I need to have a big fight so I can show up." Yeah. So
boy, if that's the case, though, you gotta switch it up a little bit because you need to show up in every fight.
Yep. And just another thing to add, you know, in that 12th round, I mean, he closed the show. And it's a good thing that he did close the show because if he didn't, you know, they only gave him by 1 round, even though it was you know, he was up by a lot. In our opinion, you know, definitely. So it's a good thing he closed the show. But also this was the second time where he came in as an underdog and came out victorious. You know, and that's
victorious.
Yeah. So that was good to see.
That's his motivation.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, he, you know, afterwards at the end of the fight, he did apologize to Josh and, you know, talked about what he was talking about. You know, I'm gonna take his life or whatever in the ring. He did say, like I said, we like to hear them saying, you know, we gonna whoop that ass in the ring, but I want you to go home safe to your family still. He did say that at the end, so I was glad to hear that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think kissed and made up.
Yep. And it was funny, and it was funny after he won the fight. He was like, he said in the mic, he's like, "Hey, do I still got it?"
I have one question.
And everybody, I felt like everybody was laughing after that, and it was just perfect for him to end it off like that.
Yeah, do I still got it? Yeah. A lot of criticism with that.
But you know, he did
made something out of it.
Yep, and he just like that, you know, he said he was doing a lot of acting. So.
But I mean, what else do you think is next? You know, we heard a little bit about him saying, well, actually, him and his dad did say that his next fight is, you know, outside of the ring. But after that gets situated, and hopefully that goes well for them. If he comes back into the ring, do you think he just play it off as a retirement? I don't really think he's gonna retire. But
hey, Teo in Teo fashion, of course, giving everyone to talk about it after the fight. And you already mentioned it. One of them was, you know, he said he was gonna retire. And he said he only coming out for 9 figures.
Woo!
So, you know, that's what he said on that. And so, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see, you know. But it sounds like to me, since he dropped out that money, you know, it sounds like he just, you know, he want to get paid. But I got a few that I got a couple matchups, you know.
There is a couple of matchups, of course. And just to throw out Josh Taylor, he did say he might be going up to that 147 division.
Yeah, he's big, so I
but, I mean, next for Teo, I like to see unification belts. And just like Jose Ramirez, he said, hey, I'm next in line for that belt. You know. With Teo. And then something else after that. But,
I personally wouldn't want to see that fight next. Do you want to see that fight next?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
Okay, so that's what you prefer. There's 2 fights that I would like to see next. Obviously, you know, we do know Jose Ramirez is on Top Rank, but there's a better fight out there on Top Rank that I would rather see him fight, and that is versus Devin the Dream Haney.
Yeah, but we know that's already kind of maybe going be with someone else. So
yeah, but I'm just saying
he's not even officially at 140.
Yeah, that's true. That's not true. So but we did. But I will say this. Prior to the fight, the dads got into it, and the video went viral. They didn't really get into it, but they had a little discussion.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you know, Bill was like, take care of business, and then, you know, maybe we can get this fight. And then his dad was like, I think he said 20 million. But everybody watched that video. The video pretty much went viral. So, I mean, it's a fight that we want to see. They got the history because, you know, prior to the Kambosos fight, you know, that's the fight that everyone wanted to see for Undisputed, you know, because we had that what's it called? That franchise title that just messed up the lightweight division. So it would be nice to get that.
Yeah, at some point, I feel like it would be good to see. Of course, we want to see those fight together. I think they were really talking about it when Phil was at the 135 division. But I feel like there's another fight I want to see from Devin next. And then maybe they can get it in, you know, in a few fights with with Theo. But yeah.
I guess we're kind of waiting to see because we don't know. You know, if Devin's done at, you know, it hasn't officially came out if Devin's done at 135 or if he's moving up to 140. We know it's been discussed that Bob is willing to, he said that, you know, he's willing to make that fight with Devin versus the winner of this fight, who ended up being Teo. And we also saw that Bill had dinner with the Bob father, and it sounded like they got something done.
They had 3 options. What they say? They had 3 options.
They got 3 options, so we'll have to wait and see on that.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that's one fight, and the other fight I would want to see is Regis Prograis. I would like to see the Regis Prograis fight just for the simple fact of how well that Teo did in this fight. I mean, if you watch that Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor fight, that was a close fight, and this fight right here was not close at all. I mean, Regis was like a lot of us. You know, he thought that Josh Taylor was going to get the win. And so I would like to see them match up. I mean, even Regis, before, you know, the fight, even said, he thinks that he would put, I think he said he would put Teo in the hospital. So that's definitely, I definitely want to see that fight now.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. That would be a great one, especially since if he lost to Josh, you know, then it'd be kind. I don't know if I would say it'd be kind of his give back to get in the ring with someone who beat Josh Taylor. You know, get a chance to fight him, because if Josh Taylor is going up to 147, Regis can't kind of rematch him at the 140. But yeah, I mean, either one of those would be good. I wouldn't mind seeing the Jose Ramirez or the Regis fight.
Okay, but what if Devin? Let's say Devin is moving. If he is at 135,
then which one would you rather see? If he goes up to 140.
Yeah, if he goes up to 140, he's not at 135. Would you want to see Devin fight? Would you want to see Devin and Teo fight more than those other fights?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because they're kind of in that same, you know, range right there, prime, kind of similar age, and they've been beefing it up since the 135 division. And that was supposed to happen had Theo beat freaking Australian fighter. Kambosos, yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
If he goes up to 140, shit, that would be a hell of a fight.
So if he goes up to 140, that's the one.
Yeah, because I mean,
we're on the same page.
Good for Devin to fight next.
Okay, we're on the same page. Well, yes, man. What an amazing performance. Teo, back to his old self, Gordo, back on top, reminded everybody that the takeover is here.
And he took over.
And he did. So just can't wait to see him back in the ring, or you know who he matches up with next. But definitely let us know below what you guys thought of the fight and who you want to see him matched up with next. But that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit.